in any case, as you know, I hope, because we met earlier under that hot tent, I'm Larry Gross, the director of the school, and I'm delighted to welcome you all here to this luncheon in honor of our Ph.D. graduates. I don't think I need to tell any of you, and I certainly don't need to tell our Ph.D. graduates, that the doctoral program is the crown jewel of the school, really of any academic program in university. It is the program in a way that we are most invested in. These are the students that we pay. The others are the students that pay us. Thank you. So, you're welcome. So that tells you something about how seriously we take it. But research universities, like USC, are particularly focused on the advancement of knowledge, on scholarship, on service to society, and we view the PhD graduates as the foremost products of this industrial system here, where we try and locate and recruit the absolutely best raw material in the world. We put it through tough but careful and caring training, and we turn out the best product anywhere in the world. So we're really delighted to have an opportunity to recognize the accomplishments of our doctoral graduates together with their teachers. Because those of us who have been in the business for a long time, and looking around the room, I know many of us have been in this business a very long time, and have worked with many students, undergraduates, master's students, and doctoral students, know that doctoral students are the ones with whom we spend the most time, on whom we lavish the most care, and from whom we expect the most in return. Over the many years that I've been in this business, and this is my 40th year of graduate teaching, I found that students are only our students for a short time, they're our colleagues for a long time. And this is a very good opportunity for us to mark a kind of transition from the student-teacher relationship to the colleague relationship. I think for many of us that has already happened, but this is a formal ritual of transformation, and we would like to mark it. I'm going to ask Dean Wilson to say a few words, and then Tom Goodnight, who so skillfully and carefully directs our doctoral program. And then we will ask each advisor to come up and say a few words, and let me underscore few, about how wonderful the student is, words that I'm sure their parents will be happy to hear, and their friends and family. And we'll ask the graduating student to come up and say a few words, which can be about how wonderful their advisor is, or anything else they wish to say. So, Dean Wilson.
Well, the first thing I want to say very seriously is I'm so glad to be out of those robes. And I suspect all of us around the table who had to wear them earlier today are delighted to be out of those robes. It is also, as Larry was suggesting, this is a very special occasion. Because for those of us who are professors and have been professors for a while, this is the real joy. This is reproducing the profession. This is reproducing the next generation of scholars, intellectuals, and especially teachers who will then go on and teach the next generation of people. I remember one of my great thrills was to meet my first grad student, who was a student of one of my students. And all of you in the room who are now doctors and will be moving through that profession will someday have that same experience of meeting your first grad student. I was looking at the list of topics that you have worked on, and it is quite remarkable. As someone said at an earlier event, it might have been Larry Gross, who said, "You are inventing the future. You are reinventing the field of communications." And because the field of communications is changing and the media are changing so much, you are reinventing the future. Before I offer a toast to all of you, I do want to take this occasion, which I haven't had really before, to thank the man standing to my right, Larry Gross. Larry has been a fantastic mentor and friend as I moved into this new field and this new institution. He has provided superb, consistent, and very thoughtful advice to me, as I know he provides superb advice to his own advisees who are getting their doctorates today. So I would first of all like to offer a round of applause to Larry Gross for his service as director of the school. Thank you, good sir. I would next like to raise a glass and offer a toast to all of the wonderful new PhDs and their families and friends. And to the new PhDs, I'll say, welcome to the club. Congratulations to all of you. Congratulations. Cheers. Thank you.
One of the first things I did after arriving at the Annenberg School 5 years ago in the second semester, after arriving, was to persuade a fellow freshman faculty member, Tom Goodnight, who arrived the same year I did, to take over the direction of the doctoral program. The program was in good shape, but it could be in better shape. And after several years of very careful tending, it is in terrific shape. And all of you here are part of the evidence of the quality and the success with which this program has been run, and a very large part of that is to the credit of Tom Goodnight.
Thank you. Welcome. I don't have a script, and I've been told I need to be brief, so the speech will only be half an hour or so. I'd like to thank Professor Gross and Professor Wilson. The University of Southern California has made a tremendous commitment to its graduate programs in terms of support and faculty. And I spent yesterday for about 3 hours reviewing all the students for a discussion faculty are going to have. And let me say, the peers that you have coming up in succeeding classes are very strong. This is a just outstanding program, and the years here, I think, are highly productive and good ones. We're inventing a 21st century field of communication. It's your generation. It's being done not only at the universities, but it's being done in industries and government. It's being done not only in the United States, but around the globe. It's done not only in libraries and in front of screens, but also in the streets and in concerts and in different places. I'm incredibly excited about this field and the work we're doing, much of which will be publicized on the website soon, shows work that makes a difference. So congratulations on your degree. I wanted to, Professor Gross mentioned that the program's running very well, and I'd like to introduce you to the person most responsible for that from my point of view, Anne Marie Campion. She represents a standard of care and competence which is unmatched, and she's been tremendous to work with. I would also mention Donna McHugh, and she would be here, except she's keeping things together as usual out front. So hello, Donna, and thank you as well. Also, the final thanks I'd like to give is to the leaders of ACGSA, Carrie Ann Platt, Zoltan Majdik, Russell Newman, and others that I've worked with. Part of the real reason the faculty do so well is not only respect for one another across many methods and experiences, but also respect for dealing with students in an open way and listening to input, and the work of the student government in improving the graduate program and Anne Marie's contribution, as well as the faculty, is part of the reason you guys are here today. But the main reason is you've been able to polish your mental facets in creating this crown jewel. Thank you.
Okay. We're going to go through, again, brief recognition of the graduates, and we're going to do an alphabetical order, and I don't want to have to keep jumping up and introducing people, or I'll never get to eat anything. So you can follow along in the program, and you'll know when you or your student is up next. But standing in for two absent advisors for the first two students to be recognized will be Tom Goodnight.
Thank you. There are a few people who aren't here, but you'll find out later, and it'll be kind of like waiting for Godot. The first student is Dino Cardoni. Are you here, Dino? His dissertation was Programming the Apocalypse, Recombinant Narrative in Cyberspace. His chair was Stephen O'Leary, who was my first dissertation advisee, also writing on the apocalypse. And I'm sure we're not in the rapture, but maybe soon. This is a very important dissertation because it deals with one of the two most prevalent subjects on the internet, and it does so by showing how religion is taking traditional myths and putting them together in different narratives and different forms. So it's a very strong dissertation, and Dino, if you'd like to come say a word, please do. This is sort of public exit interview, so be frank, honest. If there are things on your chest, time to.
Hello. It's been a long journey for me. When I started in the program, it was still CAS, and it's been so long that when I first moved to LA, it was not called LA, it was called El Pueblo de Nuestra Señora de Los Angeles. There were gas lights on campus, and I used to take a horse to school. But no, I really, seriously, I would like to thank everybody who stood by me in this long journey, and namely my parents, Aldo and Grace, who are right there, and my companion, Vin, who's next to them, and my advisor, Stephen O'Leary, who's not here today, but Thomas Goodnight stood in admirably for him. And of course, Anne-Marie Campion. I couldn't have done it without her. So I guess that's about it. Thank you very much.
The next student completing a dissertation in the program, congratulations, is Elaine Chan. Her dissertation, Females Video Game Playing Motivation, Examining Sex Stereotype and Competence Goals. Her chair was Peter Vorderer. Elaine, would you like to say a few words?
Exit interview. I guess what I'll just share with you guys is an anecdote from the beginning of my start at USC Annenberg, which was when I got here, I got plugged into the first research group that I thought I might be interested in, and somehow I ended up in this meeting doing some background research as, one of the graduate students who was on the team. I did some background research on, I think, gender differences in communication patterns or something like this. And after I had done this, one of the professors who was involved in the research group asked me, so what else are you interested in besides gender? At which point I corrected him and I said, I'm not interested in gender. And somehow it ended up being that my dissertation is on gender. So it's been an interesting 5 years, and I've really enjoyed my time here, and I'd just like to thank all the faculty and my family for their support. Thanks.
Let's see, Arul is not here, correct? Carlos is not. The next is Jeffrey Adam Hall. His dissertation was communication, and social support of parents of children treated at Children's Hospital Los Angeles. Please come say a word. It was the Mount Oriad of dissertations.
Hello, everyone. A couple things first to start. I want to thank Michael Cody and Sheila Murphy and Ken Sereno, all who have been terrific mentors to me and really good to me over the time I've been here. The second thing I really like to do is to extend a thanks to my fellow graduate students and friends. I think that it's hard to understand fully how important it is that we have the support of each other until we actually don't know what it's like. And even though I've only been gone one semester as a new faculty member, I know very much that I miss my friends who sit right behind me to have coffee, my friends to sit across and ask what they think about an idea, my friends to look for support when I'm not sure of myself, and my friends to talk about anything that I need to talk about that's not school related. Imagine that. The last thing I want to say is that Annenberg has been an incredible benefit for everyone who's been involved with it because of the amount of resources that have been available and the things that have been brought to bear to make us the scholars that we have been. But I think one group that doesn't get acknowledged that often is the staff. And as an instructor and as somebody knows to figure out how to guide themselves through being an instructor or graduate student, people like Anne-Marie and people who have also made an enormous role in supporting each other have always been important to us. So I want to thank all of those groups and thank you guys.
Next is Vicki Katz from Conversation to Conversion, Children's Efforts to Translate Their Immigrant Family Social Networks into Community Connections. Sandra?
Well, it's hard to know what to say about Vicki in a few words, except that I think that Vicki is a path breaker in the sense of really dealing with the multidimensionality of identity in this changing world of ours. And I hope that Vicki, as she does her very, very fine work, will path break immigration studies in the communication field. Very, very much overlooked in communication studies. And if I know Vicki, she'll do it. I have to tell you one little story, though. I think that Vicki really came to appreciate the difficulties of immigrants when she was held up as a South African in LAX and couldn't enter the country until she could contact a lawyer. So it's a good grounded field experience for the daily struggles of new immigrants in our lives. And I would also acknowledge Vicki's lovely family, who are an inspiration and have taught her to not only be a good product, but to be a good person. Thank you.
As valuable as those grounded field experiences are, one time was enough. I now fully appreciate the power of the INS, ICE, or whatever name they're going by these days. But it's also hard to know what to say about Sandra in a few words. But what I can say is that I wouldn't have had the success that I've had without the support of two families. The first being the family that has been my support system, my inspiration, and has taught me everything. My parents, Ian and Cheryl, my brother Jeff, and got representation from my cousins in San Diego today that I appreciate very much. But this family at Annenberg has also contributed greatly to everything that I've done, and Sandra, of course, has been the driving force of that. She's my role model, she's my advisor, and I've learned a great deal more from her than how to conduct rigorous research, although I've certainly learned that too. And I thank you for everything that you've done for me. And beyond Sandra, the people who've helped me in ways that were either formalized in actual roles on committees, like Sarah Benet-Weiser and Peggy McLaughlin and Michael Cody, who aren't here, but also the people whose offices I've sat in and probably, when they didn't really have the time to talk to me, but have shaped my graduate education in great ways. Larry Gross being one of them, Abby Kahn another, and a lot of other people who aren't here and are too numerous to name. But for all the people that support this school and make it what it is and make it a place where you're free to study something that other people have closed off, and have made it a place where you can really do something different and be valued for it. I appreciate all the ways that you've done that. Thank you.
Next is John Kephart, a man like the one that's married, dear old mom, nostalgic masculinity in American culture. So.
Hi, I'm Sarah Benet-Weiser, for those of you who don't know me. It's great that Vicki just kind of prefaced my introduction of John with Annenberg being the place where you have the freedom to study anything. John studies things like The Man Show and Maxim magazine and all sorts of different examples of masculinity, most of them kind of problematic, actually very problematic in popular culture, and has managed to convince me over the years that this is not about his subscription to Maxim or the fact that he actually wants to produce The Man Show or anything like that, but is actually a real kind of interesting intellectual inquiry into popular culture and representations of gender. And he has convinced me. So in any case, John has been very interesting to work with. His work promises, when it is done, to be a very important intervention in the field of gender studies and masculinity studies. He's also an incredibly passionate and committed teacher, evidenced most recently by his offer of a tenure-track position at Northridge for both teaching and the director of the debate squad. And he's been a pleasure to work with. So, John.
What can I say? Someone told me it was a tax write-off. If I wrote my dissertation on Maxim magazine, I wouldn't have to pay for my subscription anymore. So I guess it worked out. There are a whole lot of people that I initially was going to thank, but given that I'm supposed to be brief, I'll just thank the folks that are here. Among them, I of course have to start with Anne-Marie Campion. I'm almost positive the building would collapse in on itself if Anne-Marie wasn't there to make sure that it kept going, and I probably would have accidentally failed myself out of school multiple times had I not been able to give a panicked phone call to her at some point. So thank you very much. I'd like to thank my colleagues, especially the members of my cohort that are here, Araba and Vicky, because without them, there is no possible way that I ever could have made it through the program. They are both much smarter and much more dedicated than me, and so they provide outstanding models for me to aspire to. Abby Kahn, Tom Goodnight, and Larry Gross have all had innumerable influences on me, both professionally and personally, and really helped teach me what it means to be a scholar. And of course, my advisor, Sarah, who has not only put up with me for the last 6 years, which as my family will be happy to tell you is no small feat, but also in pushing me both professionally, academically, and personally to be not just a better scholar, but a better person. And finally, none of this would have been possible without my family. And my brother and my mom are here today. My mommy, who drove all the way up from San Diego for 3 hours, where she was supposed to receive some awards of her own, instead to come up and watch me take a diploma cover. And so without their love and support, none of these would be in any way possible. So thank you all. It's been a great run.
Co-evolution of multimodal, multiplex, and multi-level organizational networks and development communities.
Pardon? Yeah. A number of years ago, Si-Young and I were talking about communication networks and global telecommunications flows. She said to me, I think that the world is moving from a core periphery model of communication networks to one that is more clustered. And I said, well, the theory on this says that it should be a core periphery model, that there are the center haves and there are the periphery have-nots. She said, I think that theory is wrong. And she proceeded to tell me why. And I said, well, let's see what happens. And she went out and did like so many of our really great doctoral students do. She looked at the data and at the evidence. And you know what? She was right. That particular argument turned into a paper that we published in the Journal of Communication, where she is first author, and along with Francois Barr and another colleague, where we were able to demonstrate this particular phenomena. Now, I mention this story because I think it's so typical of Si-Young. She is somebody who loves to talk about ideas, who loves to follow them wherever they go, and who is really willing to research the data to see whether or not her particular view is right or not. It was interesting. Iger this morning said that there were 3 characteristics that people should have to be successful. Now, he was talking about himself, of course. But it's interesting because he said that people needed to be very bright, people needed to be driven, and people needed to have great character. Now, I think all 3 of those apply very deeply to Si-Young. But when I was in graduate school, just starting out, I heard a slightly different 3, and I think they apply even more importantly. Number 1, you need to be bright. Number 2, you need to work really hard in graduate school. But number 3, you need to be happy in your work. Now, at the time, when I was a graduate student, and the faculty in our first couple of days in the program were telling us we had to be happy in our work, we were going, nobody can make us happy in our work. But what I've learned over the years is that those people in our field, and I think in almost any field, who are really successful are people who are really happy in their work. Si-Young went out on the job market to interview. I won't tell you how many places she applied to, but I will tell you that she had 5 opportunities for job interviews and went and did 2 of them in the Midwest, 1 on the East Coast, and then turned down 2 of them. And one of the things that I heard back from almost everybody on the faculty that were there is what a joy it was to talk to her about ideas and how happy she seemed to be doing what she is doing. Well, she's taken on a dissertation that I think is enough to make anybody unhappy. Most people study uniplex networks or single mode networks or single level networks. Si-Young has taken on to study multiplex, multi-level, and layered, yeah, thank you. networks all in the same dissertation. And you know what? For some reason that I don't understand, she seems to be very happy about her work. I've had the privilege of advising a number of really good doctoral students over the years. Seung is one of those.
Probably the sentence that I've heard the most from Peter during the past several years is speak loud. So I'll try to do that today. And I guess he meant more than just voice when he said that sentence many, many times to me. Starting as a more quiet Asian girl in the school, he helped me gain more confidence, courage, and to become an entrepreneur of my ideas and talk about my ideas. So thank you for that, and thank you for his warmth, incredible warmth that not many people know of. And And I would like to thank Professor Francois Barr and Manuel Castells for inspiring me about ideas about technologies and global society. I would like to thank all my colleagues, my cohort, including Elaine and Jeff, for helping me survive through 5 years. I thank all the faculty and staff members at the Annenberg for making the Annenberg a best place to study. And lastly, to my mom and dad, not less importantly, for their unconditional love and support for 5 years. Thank you very much, and congratulations to everybody else.
The next awardee is Sultan Majdik, who's working on the dissertation, The Gene is Out of the Bottle, Communicating Risk in Direct-to-Consumer Genetics. It's an excellent piece of work that I'm directing. But as the twig is bent, I'd like to recognize and have a senior advisor, Walt Fisher, who has known Zoltan even longer than I, just say a few words.
A few words.
Thank you.
You may have noticed when Larry was talking about people who have been around for a while, and he looked my direction. That's only because I came to USC in 1965. We had a total of 8 members on the faculty at that time. And so I lived through a long period of the development of this program. And it's been very, very exciting. And what I expected to happen has happened. I left and the place has really gotten off the world stage. I mean, it's just incredible what has happened here. Regarding Zoltan, as you may know, he's the first of the so-called Fisher Fellows. I'll tell you what I said to his parents. I chaired some 40 dissertations and have been around for a long, long time. And Zoltan is certainly one of the very best that I've ever encountered. And what I told his parents was that there was much more to Zoltan than his brightness. There's a generosity and a warmness and a givingness and a support for everybody he encounters. I have really great regard for him, and I have incredible regard for what Annenberg has become.
Well, I know everyone hates the guy at the Oscars who thanks everyone, but that's exactly what I think I'm going to do here. Walt, thank you so much. Walt Fisher has been an inspiration, I think, for all of us, especially the people who work in the area of rhetoric, myself, Carrie Ann, Don. We don't tell you often enough, I think, but we're very grateful that you're here, that you talk to us, that you're so great caring about us. So thank you. Tom Goodnight, who's the best advisor I could have ever hoped for. Probably because I never think of him as much an advisor as a colleague and friend. And that's how he interacts with me. And I think we've had some great times just sitting in his office talking about ideas. His ideas usually far more complex and far-reaching than my ideas, but I'm slowly getting there. So thank you again for just being so great and kind of guiding me through this. Stephen O'Leary, who's not here but who's on my committee, who when I was an undergraduate here made me read the Phaedrus top to bottom, made me read Burke's Rhetoric of Modus top to bottom, and I can't even tell him how grateful I am because he just opened up such a world of intellectual possibility for me, which really kind of drove me into graduate school. And I wish he was here so I could thank him in person, but I will thank him later about that. Nina Eliasov, also my committee from sociology. She's not here obviously, but if you ever encounter her, go talk to her because you will walk away being a smarter person than you were before. She's fantastic. All the other faculty who I've encountered, dealt with, Randy Lake, Tom Holohan, who I think are not here, Larry Gross, Sarah Benet-Weiser, everyone else, Sandra over there. I know I'm missing a ton of people who I had classes with, but yeah, thank you everyone. The staff, Anne-Marie and Donna, who, again, like John said before, the building would simply collapse if they weren't here. We would all have somehow failed because we wouldn't have met some kind of requirements, wouldn't have gotten some kind of form signed. No one would be here without them. So thank you, Anne-Marie. Thank you, Donna, out there, or wherever she is right now. All the graduate students, I think Jeff already said that. At this point, people just repeat themselves. Jeff already said this. We couldn't do this without graduate students, without our peers in our cohort, the cohort above us, the cohort below us. They are the ones that kind of are a sounding board for our ideas, that talk to us about our ideas, about their ideas. They're the best support system we have. I think we have some fantastic graduate students here. Obviously, I have to thank Gary Ann Platt, without whom I would have never been able to get through this, I think. If nothing else, this whole thing was worth it because, well, I met her. And I have to say, I mean, regardless of how great the support system here is and the advisors and faculty and grad students, I would never have gotten to graduate school if I didn't have a father who helped me out with math homework, a mother who helped me out with my English homework, a grandmother helping me out with my French homework, all of whom flew in all the way from Switzerland just to see me get the diploma cover, and my brother who always tells me to watch new movies and listen to new music, and that distracts me from my studies, but that's okay because I think we all need that sometimes. So yeah. Thanks to everyone, thanks to my family especially, and I think I've spent enough time up here, so I'm gonna go off.
Next is Carrie Ann Platt. His dissertation is Focusing the Family, the Rhetorical Transformation of Family Values in Contemporary Cultural Politics. Sarah?
Hi, me again. I'd like to just say a couple of things about Carrie Ann as a kind of integral part of the Annenberg community over the last couple of years, and then say something about her really incredibly important and smart work. But Carrie Ann is one of those students who kind of haunts me in this, sorry, Carrie Ann, but in this way where I think, I don't want to do that. I don't want to write this person back. God, Carrie Ann would totally do this. Okay, I'll do it. I will. She is in many ways a kind of force of nature at Annenberg. And I think that, and I mean that in a very good sense. And I think that I'd like to just say that her colleagues, her graduate student colleagues, really owe a tremendous amount to her and the way in which she truly acted as a program builder in this school, and was 100% committed to this school and to the graduate community and to improving the graduate community and to improving faculty relations with graduate students and to improving teaching and teaching workshops. And so I think that, I know her fellow graduate students feel this way already, but I do think that, it would be great if they could acknowledge what an amazing person Carrie Ann has been for the graduate community. That said, she, I know, will continue this kind of work and this kind of commitment to program building in her tenure track position for next year, which she will start in the fall at her first choice, which is North Dakota. And, it's kind of a little bit hard for me to understand why Fargo would be the first choice, but I think Carrie Ann will be perfect there, and they are lucky to have her. And finally, just a few words about her dissertation. Carrie Ann's working on the kind of discourse of family values and the FCC indecency debates and the gay marriage debates, and she is working on an incredibly important and timely, as anyone who has read the newspaper and read about the Supreme Court in California yesterday knows, a very timely topic, and her work really bridges the gap between rhetoric and cultural studies and is a very important contribution to this kind of hybrid field, and I know will be an important work for years to come. So anyway, that's it.
Oh, I've got the music. Okay, so I'm going to do my best to be brief. I have 3 thanks and 1 final parting comment. My first thanks definitely go to Zoltan, who, as Walt Fisher mentioned, is one of the most generous people you will ever meet in all senses of the word. He helped me so much during my time here at Annenberg that I think he deserves actually both PhDs. The second group of people I would like to thank is my family, who have always supported my education, my overachieving tendencies, and have come all the way down from Montana to soak up the sun and to see me graduate, and I'm so happy that they're here. The third group I'd like to thank is the faculty that I've had the privilege of working with here, particularly Sarah Benet-Weiser, who has just been an inspiration to me as a researcher, as a teacher, and as a mentor, and I hope that when I grow up and become a real faculty member that I can be at least half as good as she is, and then I will be happy. I'd also like to thank Tom Goodnight, who I constantly refer to as my co-advisor. He has also been wonderful. I am continually impressed by his enthusiasm for the program, his commitment to making things better, and I have very much enjoyed working with him in that capacity. The last thing that I want to add is, as has been mentioned, I'm kind of a rabble-rouser around the department. I'm the one who shows up and complains about things and says, I want to change this, and I'd like to change this, and can we do this instead? And I think that sometimes maybe it gets lost how much I have appreciated my time here and how lucky I feel to be a part of this program, and I've loved every moment of it. Thanks.
Next, Erica Say, dissertation, Mobile Communication Development, a study of mobile phone appropriation in Ghana. Manuel?
Let me tell a short story that starts with thanking our Associate Dean, Abby Kuhn. When I arrived first in the school in 2003, attached to my chair was, and still is, a Wallace Annenberg Graduate Fellowship, which is destined to a student, to a graduate student, a PhD student basically, that I would designate Although it has the dubious benefit of doing research with me, has a clear benefit, which is doing research as the main activity of the fellowship. So I was new at the school, I didn't know the students. I asked Abby, I said, you know, he's a truly exceptional student, but she's kind of shy. You will never see her if I don't introduce you to her. And that's what she did. And after one single conversation, I realized that Araba was going to be one of my best students ever. And we immediately started to work together. We have published two major articles together, and one book together, published by MIT Press. And through the book, she discovered and I discovered the interest and potential of research in mobile communication. That's when she went on to develop the ideas that we have generated on mobile communication in general, to develop a dissertation based on field work in Ghana on mobile communication and development. Although I must say that in her dissertation she was decisively helped by Francois Barr. So in fact, it's a co-directed dissertation. We both have the privilege to work very closely with Araba. So I think that Araba has all the marks to be an exceptional scholar, but it's something else. It's also a person of incredible integrity and extraordinary human values. So she will go on to be a great scholar, but also a great scholar in the service of humanity. And that, for me, is my highest standard of excellence. Araba?
Well, I'm going to take up the story from where Manuel left off. About 5 years ago, when Abby encouraged me to meet Manuel and talk about the potential of working with him, little did I know what a turning point in my life this was going to be. People tell me I've changed, that as a scholar I have a stronger and more confident, more articulate voice. And in large part, this is due to watching, learning from, and interacting with you, Manuel. And so I want to say a big thank you for the inspiration, for the encouragement, and for seeing the potential in me that I had not even seen in myself. It has been life-changing, and I hope that we will always continue to be in contact and to work together in the future. I cannot go without saying thank you to Francois Barr, who was also on my committee and with whom I worked very closely. I want to thank him especially for reading every single word of my almost 500-page dissertation, and for being able to figure out what I was trying to say, sometimes even better than I knew myself. A lot of the times also at short notice. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Francois. I also want to thank Larry Gross, Dean Wilson, Anne-Marie Campion, and of course Abigail Khan for facilitating my progress through the department, through the School of Communication. For moral and financial encouragement. Those are very important, especially the financial part. There are times when just a conversation with one of these people would put my mind at ease about a lot of issues that I was facing, and I'm very grateful to all of you for that. Finally, I want to thank my family, some of whom are here, my brother, my sister-in-law, my sister, and my uncle, and these two beautiful kids down here, my nephew and my niece. For encouragement, for listening when I needed to blow off steam, when I was discouraged sometimes, for a place to lay my head, and possibly most important of all, for ready-made food just when I needed it. Thank you.
Bi-dimensional acculturation model. Sandra?
Well, continuing on the theme of having path breakers in doing research that really reflects the complications and the multidimensionality of a globalized world like Los Angeles, I would want to point to Hayoung as having done a wonderful dissertation in which she pointed out that people tended to categorize people as either English speaking or Spanish speaking. And she said, hey, wait a minute, you know what? There's an increasing number of people that do both. So that bilingualism, particularly in regard to health service delivery and access and disparities, is a very important dimension to look at. But I also think of Hayoung when she was trying to decide about going to the Annenberg School or maybe entering a business program. And so she was invited to go off to Vanderbilt University and interview. And she came back and she said, oh my goodness, it's rural and there are no Korean people there. But now, of course, she has preparation and tremendous knowledge and integrity to give to another city where there are very few people, and she's not afraid of it. She's going to Milwaukee at the University of Wisconsin. So she keeps saying, I guess I'm going to have to learn about all those new beers. So she's a wonderful student.
Thank you very much, Sandra. In preparation of my dissertation, the first thing that I did was reading some model dissertations. And my favorite part was actually acknowledgments. I was reading all the dissertations written by the smartest people, and the acknowledgments was filled with a lot of gratitude. A lot of people said that nothing could have been possible without other people's support. I'm standing here, I feel the same way as they feeling. I'd like to express my sincere gratitude to all the people who supported me. Sandra was my great advisor and my mentor, and sometimes she took the role of one of the family member in LA because my most family member were in South Korea, and she's been wonderful. And my all dissertation committee members gave me tremendous advice on my dissertation. I thank you very much, all my dissertation committee members, on their expertise and critical thinking. And I'd like to thank my family members, my parents, and also my parents-in-law who came all the way from South Korea. They gave me the unconditional love and support from Korea all the time. And my great colleagues, Elaine, Seungyeon, Vicky, Jeff, and Cindy, Helen, Yujong, they've been really great. And my husband, who also a PhD student at UT Austin, although I was living in LA and he was in Texas, but I always felt that he was also in LA because we frequently talked, and then he gave me a lot of support. I'd like to thank everybody, and yes, congratulations to the people who earned your degree. Thank you.
Yep, it's me again. But I promise you the last time for today. And that's just because Becky's not here. Again, just a few words about Kara Wallace. Kara Wallace came to Annenberg as a kind of refugee from the education school, and was kind of looking at a more interdisciplinary program, was trying to think about where she could do this incredibly wonderful and important work that she has now done on migrant women in China and technology, and really, you know, lucky for us, found that Annenberg would be a good place for her to do this kind of work. So I first met Kara when she was still an education student, and I've just been thrilled that we've been working together since that time, since that seminar. Kara, like I said, has written a dissertation that explores migrant women in China and the use of technology, especially mobile phones. And part of what she did for this work is to do field work in Beijing for 10 months during her graduate school career. And I just kind of want to commend her for this, because as someone who has done a version of ethnography before, actually packing up and leaving and going to a different culture and a different context for almost a year to do this kind of research was, you know, a very difficult and very worthwhile task. She has produced a dissertation that is reflective of this kind of commitment and this effort in Beijing. She brought me many good souvenirs from Beijing, which was really important part of this process. Really good T-shirts, by the way, and watches, fantastic. In any case, Kara, the one thing I can say about Kara is that she has literally no idea how good her work is. And I feel like we have to constantly remind her of her excellent scholarship, her remarkable intellect, and the work that she has produced. So, thanks.
So I think I'm the last one. So 30 minutes from now you can finish? No, I'm kidding. I'm going to make it really short. I just want to thank my family, my parents back there, who supplied a quiet place to study and many a home-cooked meal with leftovers, kind of like being an undergrad again sometimes. My sister, my husband John, who could not be here, he's working at the cinema school graduation, and my wonderful committee, Sandra Balrukich back there, who also, since like Sarah, before I was ever in Annenberg, kind of took me under her wing and was a great source of knowledge and encouragement. Manuel Castells, who he has really challenged me, so that's a great thing, and has really encouraged me to grow intellectually. And Sarah, you're not looking at me. Sarah, my wonderful mentor, she's trying to eat, teacher, advisor, and friend. And I echo what Carrie Ann said. If I could be half as great a scholar and teacher as Sarah, then I'll be doing pretty good. Oh, and I also want to thank Abby, who's been so important to me at Annenberg. I'm so glad she's back. And Anne-Marie, and Francois, and Larry, thank you.
As you can see in your programs, there are 9 or 10 more graduates this year who were not able to join us today. Think how much longer this would have gone on if they were all here. Many of them are already teaching in other parts of the world, or already doing something else in other parts of the world. Were not able to join us, but I think you've seen, even with the half of the class, the cohort that is here today, how impressive, how varied, and how strong our program is. This, of course, will be no surprise to those of us who live here and work with these students all the time, but I think it's nice for us to have a chance to sit and see this kind of array from time to time. It's one of the reasons to have these events. So some of us will be here again next year. Different students, different families, but I think the same tradition of strength and accomplishment. And I think you all can be proud that you or your family members and friends are part of this tradition that we are all establishing here and continuing in the school And I think it is a wonderful legacy for all of us to be part of. So thank you for joining us, and enjoy the rest of the meal.